The NBA draft, where 30 organizations gather to select teenagers we just got done betting on 3 months ago in March. That's basically all it really is. Sometimes they get these draft picks right, other times they get them horribly wrong. Sometimes they just become the most mid pick ever. Can't say anything good or bad about them. Sorry, Turian, I used you as the face of average. At least you aren't the face of poverty. But let's go to the first thing I said, that sometimes they get these right. There's some teams that never seem to miss on their draft picks. Then there's other teams who I think haven't hit on a draft pick since Thomas Edison was alive. Sorry, Clipper fans. At least you guys selected Blake Griffin 43 years ago now. Shout out Reggie Bullock though. Honestly, a good pick at 25. Island owner Reggie Bullock. But anyways, I had a question. Who's the greatest player drafted at each draft spot in NBA history? So what did I do? I dug the internet, then I dug some more. I rewatched every single minute of every NBA draft to ever happen. And not only did I watch the NBA drafts, but I watched every single player's pre-draft interview. I read through every single player's scouting report. I reached out to every single player ever's high school coach and did a 3-hour interview process to get a true evaluation of their skill set. Okay, that's cap. But I did do this. I found the best players selected at each draft position in NBA history. The best first pick ever, the best second pick ever, the best third pick ever, all the way through 30. But without further ado, we may as well get into it. And with the first pick,
the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
I mean, come on. Who else was it going to be? 50% of the world is going to tell you he's the GOAT, LeBron James. Unarguably a top 2 basketball player of all time. And the other dude in the argument wasn't the first overall pick. So by my valuations, that makes LeBron unarguably the best first pick of all time. The first pick was easily the most stacked pick. I mean, duh. Other candidates were Kareem, Duncan, Magic, Shaq. 5 of the 10 greatest players of all time selected first. I was really considering putting Anthony Bennett, but I decided not to because LeBron has had a pretty decent career. He's a 4-time champion, a 4-time MVP, the NBA's all-time leading scorer. I guess you can say that's okay. But really, when LeBron was coming into the NBA, I'm not sure if anyone ever had the hype he did. The guy had a Sports Illustrated cover with the title Chosen One at like 17 years old. And it panned out. I don't care if you want to put him at 1 or 2, but he's one of the 2 greatest players of all time. But now, pick 2. And with the second pick, actually there's no footage of this, so I'll just be Adam Silver for a quick second. With the second pick in the NBA draft, the St. Louis Hawks select Bill Russell. If I were the Hawks owner today, even 100 years later, I'd still be pissed as hell we traded Bill Russell when we drafted him. The guy ended up winning 5 MVPs and 11 championships. William Russell was just that guy. One of the most legendary players ever. I mean, you know how great you gotta be that no player ever could wear your jersey number again? And number 2 wasn't really that close. My other options were KD and Jerry West. Both great, both probably top 20 players of all time, but neither are Bill Russell. 11 rings in 13 seasons, and old heads will tell you he's still the GOAT. So yeah, Bill Russell. Now, we gotta move on to the third pick. And with the third pick,
the Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan of the University of North Carolina.
This one was really close. I was between Michael Jordan and Enes Kanter, but MJ does have the slight edge. 6 championships, 5 MVPs. The guy most people consider to be the greatest player ever to pick up a basketball. Is there anyone else with so many songs about them? Jumpman, 23, Michael Jordan. The list goes on all day. The third pick is Michael Jordan. It was always Michael Jordan. Probably going to be Michael Jordan for a long time. Maybe forever if we're being honest. But that brings us to the fourth pick. And with the fourth pick,
the Seattle Supersonics select Russell Westbrook from UCLA.
This is the real first toss-up. But honestly, I'm going to go with my gut, Russell Westbrook. And I know a lot of you are going to disagree with it, but don't forget who this guy was in the late 2010s. The NBA MVP, a 9-time All-Star. In his peak, this guy averaged a triple-double 3 times in 4 years. There's only one other guy who ever averaged a triple-double before Russ, and he did it once. And yeah, I know Jokic did, but it was after. But the reason I said a bunch of you are going to disagree is because the other guy you could put here is Chris Paul. So at that point, I feel like it's pick your poison. And although I do feel like most people would probably go with CP3 in this situation, my gut's telling me Russ is the right pick. And this one had some options. Russ, CP3, Dave the Cow Cowens, Dikembe Mutombo. Kinda a stacked pick. What the hell? But pick your guy here. Let me know. Anyways, it's time for number 5. And with the 5th pick,
The Minnesota Timberwolves select Kevin Garnett.
if you look up dog in the dictionary, you're just going to find Kevin Garnett. Champion, MVP, 15-time All-Star. He's got the whole accolade book filled out. And the 5th pick was also a really stacked one too. Probably the 2nd or 3rd most stacked one overall. The other options were Pippen, Charles Barkley, Dwayne Wade. Honestly, I could see you going with any of the 4. Genuinely, I don't think there's a wrong pick out of these 4. One of those where you'll have one list this way, and then the other list will rank it the complete opposite way. It just, to me, felt like KG was the right pick here, because the dude was a savage. And when I was growing up, KG would torture my favorite squad. It made me hate the dude. But as I got older, I appreciated his greatness. So, shout out to KG. Number 6. With the 6th pick, damn, can't find a video of this either. Well, with the 6th pick, the Boston Celtics select Larry Bird. How can I not find a Larry Bird draft video? It's crazy. That's not that long ago. Anyways, Larry Legend, arguably a top 5 player in hoops history, definitely a top 10 player ever, a 3-time champ, a 3-time MVP, a 12-time All-Star. There was no real competition for this pick. The next best player at 6 was Damian Lillard, but he's a borderline top 50 player ever. Bird is borderline 5. So 6th, Larry Bird. Number 7. With the 7th pick,
The Golden State Warriors select Stephen Curry from Davidson College.
there wasn't much really competition for the 7th pick. Well, any for Curry. He's a top 15 player ever, maybe top 10. And honestly, I've seen a lot of people put him top 5. And everyone knows he's the guy that changed basketball forever. The greatest shooter ever, Steph Curry, a 4-time champion, a 2-time MVP. But there's definitely people who hate Steph Curry. Which NBA player infuriates you the most, and explain why? For me, Steph Curry because of his damn mouthpiece chewing and his baby face. Sorry for being too salty. Edit. LOL. More reasons to not like Curry. Edit 2. We must release all the hate people. Relax, bro. What did Steph Curry do to you? Did he rob you or something? We must release all the hate people. My guy's fiending for some Curry negativity. Insane. But number 7, a top 2 point guard of all time, Steph Curry. But that brings us to number 8. And with the 8th pick, if we ain't getting Larry Bird draft footage, we're definitely not getting footage for this dude. With the 8th pick, the Golden State Warriors selected Robert Parrish. Yeah, the 8th pick was extremely weak, I can't lie. It was like Parrish, Andre Miller, Sam Jones, and Franz Wagner. Actually, wait, Frank Ntilikina was the 8th pick. There we go. But for real, Parrish had a great career, a 4-time champ, a 9-time All-Star. He played for like 90 seasons. That's got to count for something. I don't know. But the 8th pick was weak, but Parrish was really good, so it's him. And that brings us to the 9th pick. With the 9th pick,
The Milwaukee Bucks select Dirk Nowitzki from Würzburg, Germany.
if I were a Bucks fan, honestly, I would still think about Dirk. Dirk is literally an entire franchise. The Texas teams are the Spurs, the Rockets, and Dirk. That could have been you guys, Milwaukee. But now you got Giannis, so I guess it is what it is. Well, for another week maybe. But Dirk Nowitzki, an NBA champion, an MVP, a 14-time All-Star, one of the greatest power forwards in the history of the sport, probably the owner of the most patented move in basketball history. If they ever change the NBA logo, low-key, it's gotta be the Dirk fade. But for Dirk, it wasn't all that close who it was gonna be. The other options were John Havlicek and T-Mac, but Dirk's the obvious choice of the 3. So yeah, the face of the Dallas Mavericks franchise, a player that no one hates. Number 9, some random dude from the Cleveland show. Okay, now we're looking at number 10. And with the 10th pick, I can assure you on everything I love, we're not getting a video of this. With the 10th pick, the New York Knicks select Willis Reed. The 10th pick was up in the air for two players. It was between Willis Reed and Paul Pierce. Also, shout out to Paul George. But for now, it's still Willis Reed. A two-time champion, an MVP, a 7-time All-Star. The MVP is the thing that put him over the edge for Pierce for me. Every time I hear Willis Reed's name though, I think of this. No joke, that's pretty easily the most legendary 2K intro of all time. Maybe the most legendary 2K song of all time. Off topic though. Number 10, Willis Reed from the New York Knicks. The captain before Jalen Brunson. The guy who somehow played on one leg in a finals game. Okay, so now we're moving on. This time, number 11. And with the 11th pick,
the Charlotte Hornets select Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Hamilton, Canada, and the University of Kentucky.
The Hornets select SGA. Weird. But talk about a steal at number 11. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, back-to-back MVPs, a ring, a finals MVP, probably I'd say pretty unanimously a top 2 player in the NBA right now. And for a really long time, the answer here was Reggie Miller as the greatest 11th pick. But SGA ran laps around him over the past 2 years. So moving on. With the 12th pick, another video we're not finding, the Milwaukee Bucks select Julius Erving. The Bucks seem to be really good at drafting all-time greats and trading them before they actually put on a Bucks uniform. Third, then Dr. J. But besides Dr. J, the 12th pick was pretty easily the most mid pick of this whole video so far. My other options were basically Halliburton and Thad Young. Although it was kind of hard not to pick Thaddeus Young. He's one of 5 players ever to play 800 games and average 13.5 points, 5.9 rebounds, 1.4 steals, shoot 49% from the field, and 30% from 3. I mean, come on. That's the main stat that matters when you're talking about basketball. But ultimately, I did go with Dr. J. And that would bring us to number 13. With the 13th pick,
the Charlotte Hornets select Kobe Bryant from Lower Merion High School.
Hornet fans, I hope your ears were closed, because that's an absolute botch. We went from Bucks trade Dirk and Dr. J. Well, how can you get worse than that? The Hornets trade SGA and Kobe. And Kobe was pretty good, I think. An MVP, a 5-time champ, an 18-time All-Star. Just one of the GOATs. And my other option here was Karl Malone, who was great, but he wasn't Kobe. Kobe is easily one of the greatest players of all time. On every list, you'll see him anywhere from like 3 to 12. So the best 13th pick of all time, Kobe Bean Bryant. But that reminds me, this video is presented by PrizePicks, America's #1 sports pick app. And I've actually got a pick I just placed that I'm rolling with right now. Fresh off leading the Knicks to their first championship in 53 years, I took Jalen Brunson to win next season's NBA MVP. I put $21.10 on it for a chance to win $211. That's a 10 times payout. And honestly, this isn't just random. Winning a championship and a finals MVP immediately puts Brunson into the MVP conversation heading into next season. Voters love when players come off title runs. And if the Knicks are once again near the top of the East, Brunson, if he has an elite season, there's a real chance he could take home the award. And that's why I like this spot on PrizePicks. It's simple. You just pick more or less on player stats or even team outcomes, lock in your lineup, and you're set. I'll be posting more of my lineups on there too. So if you want to tell what I'm doing, make sure to follow me on the app so you don't miss anything. And if you've never tried it before, now's the best time. New users can play $5 and get $50 in lineups instantly when you use code HMA. So download PrizePicks using the link in the description, use code HMA, and let's see if this Jalen Brunson MVP pick hits. And as always, play responsibly. Okay, back to the video. Now we're looking at the 14th pick. And with the 14th pick, man, I'm struggling to find some of these picks. But the 14th pick, the Portland Trailblazers select Clyde Drexler. I talked about good nicknames. Imagine everyone calling you Clyde the Glide. That's fire. But the 14th pick was actually a really good one, and Clyde did have competition. Tim Hardaway, Peja Stojakovic, Bam. 4 great players, really. But ultimately, I decided Clyde's the best of the 4, and I'm pretty confident in that pick. He's a 10-time All-Star and an NBA champ. And no joke, he might be the biggest 2K cheat code of all time. This guy's going to dunk on everyone and anyone. Basically the same way he did in real life though. And look how people described him. I'm a Chi-Town native and a lifelong Bulls guy. Clyde was effing amazing in the 90s. Cool as jazz. You know how cool you gotta be to be as cool as jazz? That's a top tier compliment. So number 14, Clyde the Glide Drexler. And that brings us to the halfway pick. Number 15. And with the 15th pick,
the Milwaukee Bucks select Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yup, Giannis. It's not really a question anymore. The guy's an all-time great. He's a 2-time MVP, an NBA champion. I mean, he's this young doing all this. Well, he's 31 now. Brother's pushing 80. But he still got some left. The 15th pick was easily one of the most stacked of the video too. 3 all-time greats. Giannis, Nash, and Kawhi. Honestly, this is really close between the 3 of them, but I think it's Giannis. But that brings us to the latter half of the draft. And with the 16th pick,
the Utah Jazz select John Stockton of Gonzaga University.
Johnny Stockton. Little Johnny Stockton. The NBA's all-time assister and stealer, a 10-time All-Star. The guy's one of the most elite point guards of all time. Stockton didn't have much competition. Not that these guys are bad, but they aren't Stockton. Although I do love Meta World Peace, but then we're looking at Vooch and Sengun. Yeah, Stockton it is. Alright, number 17. With the 17th pick, Shawn Kemp had a really solid NBA career. He's a 6-time All-Star, and the 17th pick wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't awful, but we're looking at Shawn Kemp, Jermaine O'Neal, and Drew Holiday. I feel like the 3 All-NBA second teams, he deserves it though. And the fact that he versed Michael Jordan in the finals baked out of his mind, shout out to him for that. If Kemp played in the Twitter era, I promise he'd have a new highlight on House of Highlights every single night. And although he wasn't Gary Payton, of course, he was his Robin, and they made the NBA Finals, so you can't complain about that. And yeah, Kemp versus Drew versus Jermaine O'Neal is pick your poison. Let me know who you think. Anyways, number 18. And with the 18th pick,
the Detroit Pistons select Joe Dumars of McNeese State.
Getting a guy who could be your second best player on multiple championship teams doesn't really happen at pick 18 often. Dumars is a 2-time champion, a 6-time All-Star, and yeah, he's always Isaiah Thomas's right-hand man, but who cares if you're winning rings? It was really between Joe Dumars and Mark Jackson with the 18th pick, and with all due respect, I had to go Joe Dumars. Number 19. With the 19th pick, the Cincinnati Royals select Nate Tiny Archibald. This is a steal at 19. Well, I guess all these guys are going to be steals from here on out, but you know what I mean. Tiny was a 6-time All-Star, an NBA champion. I do want to give a shout out to Zebo, the Junkyard Dog, also picked 19. One of my favorite players of all time. But Tiny led the NBA in points and assists in the same season. That's just stupid to think about. Why we call this dude Tiny though? He was 6'1". I'm here struggling at 5'11". Anyways, number 19, Nate Tiny Archibald. And that brings us to 20. With the 20th pick, Phoenix Suns
Select Larry Nance
Sr. Yeah, that's the closest we're getting to finding that footage. But Larry Nance Sr., a 3-time NBA All-Star, it was him or Ilgauskas, and I think Larry Nance pretty easily gets the edge here. No joke though, my guy easily has the craziest picture in NBA history. What is going on here? Either there's no way he finished this, or they told him to jump straight up for a picture. He's straight up parallel with the backboard. I don't know. Pick 21. With the 21st pick,
The Phoenix Suns select Rajon Rondo from the University of Kentucky.
imagine trading one of the best passers ever before he played, and you would have had Steve Nash, who he could have learned under. Damn, what could have been? I mean, the guy ended up becoming so influential, rappers literally named themselves after him. Rondo number 9, Quando Rondo. Rondo was just awesome to watch play basketball. He's a 2-time champion, a 4-time All-Star, the greatest player ever picked 21st, my favorite point guard, You know the rest of the saying. Now we got the 22nd pick. And with the 22nd pick, $20 goes to whoever could find this footage. With the 22nd pick, the Philadelphia 76ers select George McGinnis. And I mean no disrespect when I say this, but the 22nd pick was probably the most mid out of any pick. McGinnis was definitely good. I mean, combine the NBA and ABA, he's a 6-time All-Star. He actually won the ABA MVP. Actually, I guess he's not that mid. It seems like I'm just not up to my George McGinnis lore. Damn. But the rest of the options at 22 were Reggie Lewis, Norm Nixon, Jared Allen, Truck Robinson. So yeah, mid. But if we're talking coolest names, they may be one. Norm Nixon and Truck Robinson. I dare somebody else to try and beat that. But yeah, number 22, George McGinnis. And that brings us to number 23. With the 23rd pick, the Milwaukee Bucks select Alex English. I didn't know the Milwaukee Bucks selected Alex English, if I'm being completely honest, till now. But damn, they trade every great they draft. But want to talk about an underrated bucket? Alex English will easily be one of the first names that come up. English was the greatest nugget of all time till that other dude showed up. But for English, a couple years ago with COVID, my guy was trying to come out of retirement. Would uphold an Uncle Drew, if I'm being honest. English and Jokic together would be unstoppable. But now we're looking at 24. With the 24th pick,
the Memphis Grizzlies select Kyle Lowry of Villanova University.
Kyle Lowry, probably the greatest Raptor of all time, an NBA champion, a 6-time All-Star. This was a really close race between two people for the 24th pick. Actually, I had Latrell Sprewell until about 30 seconds ago, but then I changed my mind. Lowry just feels like the safer pick here. I feel like nobody dislikes Kyle Lowry, and there's definitely one specific individual who dislikes Latrell Sprewell. Okay, so now we're at pick 25. And with the 25th pick, the Dallas Mavericks selected Mark Price, 5'11" white boy. That's something I could relate to. Unfortunately, I can't relate to being a 4-time NBA All-Star though, and the only other guy who was really even in consideration for the pick was Gerald Wallace. But yeah, it's Mark Price. Probably the best Cavalier to ever wear a number in the 20s and make an All-NBA first team. So yeah, number 25, Mark Price. Which would bring us to number 26. And with the 26th pick, the Los Angeles Lakers selected
7-footer Vlade Divac.
I lied about George McGinnis. This is the weakest pick. Although Vlade was a 1-time All-Star, my only other option here was Taj Gibson. And I guess Vlade wins. And although Vlade was a great draft pick, he definitely doesn't know how to draft. You know, took Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic. Anyways, 26, Vlade Divac. Which would bring us to the next pick. And with the 27th pick, the Detroit Pistons select Dennis Rodman, the most interesting player of all time. An undersized forward who's arguably the greatest rebounder ever, a 5-time champion, a 2-time All-Star, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Just a winner. 27 was actually a really good pick too. Two of the greatest defenders of all time, Dennis Rodman and Rudy Gobert. But Rodman seems like the obvious choice of the two. And plus, the guy did what he wanted. Half the time, he didn't go to practice and just hung out with Hulk Hogan. Pick 28. With the 28th pick,
The San Antonio Spurs select Tony Parker of Racing Club Paris.
I know I said it so many times already, but oh my god, that's a steal. 4-time champion, 6-time All-Star. Tony Parker seems to be liked by most people, I would say, except one guy, Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, we hitting models like Tony Parker be hitting bottles. And tell Tony Parker that I found his vision.
Maybe Tyler's a Laker fan or something. I don't know. But number 28, NBA Hall of Famer, Tony Parker. Alright, now we're looking at the last two picks. With the 29th pick, the Seattle Supersonics select Dennis Johnson. Dennis Johnson is a 3-time NBA champion, a 5-time All-Star, so pretty good resume if I had to say. But it was pretty much Dennis Johnson, DeJounte Murray, or Tony Kukoc. But DJ seems like the right pick of the three. But now, Mr. Irrelevant. With the 30th pick,
The Chicago Bulls select Jimmy Butler from Marquette University.
Jimmy Buckets, the last pick of the first round. A 6-time NBA All-Star, a 5-time All-NBA player, led the Heat to the Eastern Conference Finals like every single year somehow. Remember that time he was on the Wolves and hated being there? Then he gave the Wolves a list of 29 preferred trade destinations. My guy was desperate to get out of there. But yeah, 30, Jimmy Butler. And that's the entire draft, 1 through 30. The greatest draft pick at each position. Did I botch any of these? Did I get any wrong? Or did I shoot 30 for 30? And please subscribe if you're still here. Thank you for watching. New videos coming ASAP. See you then.